Welcome everyone to the latest episode of Hotel Tech Unwrapped. The purpose of this podcast series is to simplify hospitality technology to empower decision makers generate the best return on their hospitality technology investment. My name is Denis Ahern.
And my name is Helena Brien.
And today we are looking at hospitality TV. So Helena, I'm really excited about this episode. We come across conversations all the time in this area. How has everything been for you since our last episode, and what's the feedback been like over the last few weeks?
The feedback's been great, actually. We attended one of the national hospitality conferences, really, and it was lately. And it was great to get some feedback from people who've been listening to our podcast, and they're finding it very informative and they're learning new things, which I think is fantastic, because that's been ultimately the goal, is to educate the sector on hospitality technology. So it's been very positive. And today's topic has been one that was priority for the vast majority of hospitality professionals that we met at the event as well. So I think the timing is perfect for so many people. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's genuinely a lot of interest around the area of TV. I think a lot of hospitality professionals are looking at how can they enhance the guest experience, and definitely looking in this direction at the moment, which is really good. Yeah, I found that event to be really good. I mean, there's a lot happening in the industry. Again, I have lots of empathy for any decision maker in hospitality. I mean, it's just crazy, the amount of things they have to consider. The sustainability challenges are huge.
Yeah.
And, if you think about it, there were so many actually technology focused vendors and exhibitors at that event. Again, where do you start? It's a minefield. Look, that's why we're here. We're trying to help as well as much as we can in terms of giving information that's useful, that's educational. And for the purpose of what we're covering today, I think we should do two separate sessions, really. One is actually on the hospitality TV experience, and the other one then will be what's become really popular recently, which is in-room casting and on-demand entertainment for guests.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, actually. I was staying at a hotel recently, and I met the general manager while I was there, and we were talking about the in-room TV experience, and they asked me to take a look at it. It's always great when you're away and you can do something like that. And it was really, really interesting, actually. When you go into the room, they have a standard television that is in many homes. It's not hospitality grade TV, but we'll come to that in a moment. So I'm just going to build the picture of what it was like. And the channel lineup was very poor. The quality of channels was very, very poor. It was a coax cable at the back that was feeding the channels into the TV. I did see there was a Cat5 cable in the wall. And if you tried to cast, you could cast anywhere.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah.
That's not good.
But what's really interesting, Denis, this is probably the most normal experience within the in-room television experience within the hospitality sector. And it's not just isolated to Ireland. And people just, again, it's going back to that conference. There are so many solutions out there, but it's about working again with that right partner who's going to just advise you how this should look from beginning to end, who can say, okay, well, this is your current this is what you currently have in place, but this is what we can do based on using the existing TV. So look, what I'd love you to do is just, because it's so common, I'd love you to just give a very high level overview of what solution we would put forward to a hotel that has a TV, right, in their rooms. It's not hospitality grade, and it'd be great if you can explain that to people. It's one that can be bought in a local store. Okay. So as the general manager said to me, if it breaks, I go and buy another one 2 miles up the road, right? But that poor channel lineup, etc. So if we can just kind of give an overview so people can understand what the options are for themselves. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Great example, right? Because this happens, as you say, it's just very common, right? So the first thing would be obviously use, you mentioned hospitality grade TVs. So there's 3 of them really on the market, right? Philips, LG and Samsung, right? So the first thing I would say is use one of those TV brands, like a hospitality grade TV is commercial by design. So designed to run for long periods of time without impacting on the picture quality or the running quality of the device over time. It has a customizable user interface. It can be managed over the network. Lots of different features that you just don't get with a residential or commercial or a residential or domestic product. Also, you can lock down the settings, which is really important. So you don't want your guests logging into the TV settings and messing around with those, accessing applications that shouldn't be accessible. So if you had a domestic TV, you might have applications available on the TV. People might log into those. That becomes a mess because you can't clear down the data. You have all sorts of security and privacy issues in that scenario. So lots of different reasons to have a hospitality grade TV, but I think the main thing to understand is Philips, LG, or Samsung hospitality grade TV is the way to go first and foremost. If that's a big investment as a one-off, at least on a phase basis, do it over time,
Yeah.
and as you say, talk to a partner who can offer that and who can guide you in that area, right? So if you did that in that hotel, I think you mentioned there's a network cable available at the TV point.
It's coax is what's currently feeding the channels to the TV, but I noticed there was a network cable on the wall as well.
Okay, that's great, right? So, in terms of, say, TV channel distribution, if you have a hospitality grade TV, that TV can receive the channels over coax or over the network cable. Okay, so it can be IPTV or it can be a coax distribution of those channels. So either option is available in that case. If it was my hotel, I would move everything onto the network cable. So I would do an IPTV transmission system. So a few reasons for that. In terms of the quality of the picture, the IPTV transmission system gives me some advantages. And I would also say from a support perspective, if I ring my support company, they have a lot more troubleshooting and diagnostic ability with an IPTV transmission system. And yeah, so I would use the network cable for everything, the TV channels, and then also the TV interface and everything I do around the guest experience afterwards. Okay. Now you could use the coax cable for the channels and use the network cable for the smart hospitality features as well. So you could do either.
Yeah. I might jump in there for a second because I'm finding this really interesting. Where I was with the hotelier just this morning, and they were telling me that one of the biggest problems they face is people going in and changing the settings of the TV.
Yeah.
And trying to tune in channels, etc., etc. And she said, like, they're having to send staff up on a daily basis, having to correct what a guest will have done. And that's where I was explaining the benefits of the hospitality grade television and the solutions that are out there. And her comment to me was, I didn't even know such a thing existed. But like, there's only two things that you've just touched that were both covered in a conversation this morning as a problem for a particular hotelier. And they're not in isolation. Like, I have this conversation on a regular basis. Just so happens I had one this morning.
Yeah. It's a good example though, for sure. And then with a hospitality grade TV, you have lots of, like, you unlock then the whole world of that guest experience, like a welcome page, hotel information, local amenities, video on demand, integration with the PMS, get your order room servicing, check your bill, check out. Loads of different things become unlocked with that hospitality grade TV. So it's just a totally different experience and is designed for the hospitality setting.
Right. So I'm a hotelier who's on a journey for sustainability.
Okay.
Right.
Very good.
I want to become a more sustainable hotel. Okay. And I'm talking about planet here now. I'm not just talking about the technology part of it, but and I have a lot of printed collateral in my bedroom. So I have my menus, I have my welcome letter, I have different, a QR code example for casting. I have lots of different
Mm.
pieces of collateral on the desk. Can they
Mhm.
all be moved on to this content management system that can feed through the television?
Yeah, absolutely right. This is very common with the
Okay.
brands we would work with. So they're basically trying to remove all print in the rooms and have all of that information easily accessible on the TV interface. And that's the key. It has to be well designed so that the
Mm.
just the TV and the whole experience is just easy for the guest, right? But then
Mhm.
they can find the information that they need. And then one of the big advantages is that across the estate, so if you think about it, me as a guest, a lot of our clients are uh, making available some form of web application as well to the guest,
Mhm.
right? So you have a certain user experience and a brand experience on your phone at that
Yeah.
point. You walk into reception, the digital signage screens would match that, and you walk into the guest room, and the TV in the room matches that. So if you think about it, your screen or your digital experience there end to
Mm.
end as a guest is seamless. It's all on brand, and you have the information that you need on your fingertips. So many clients have fully
Okay.
removed all print in the room, and
Mhm.
they also are buying the most sustainable brand of TV. That's very high up on their priority as well when they're making that purchase.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I think that there's a particular brand in the marketplace that they're making great strides in that area, and what they're doing, they have sustainability at the forefront of everything they're doing in innovation, which I just think is fantastic. Um, so I am a hotelier that I'm prepared to invest in hospitality grade TVs.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a coax cable in my room. Can I still have that content management system on my screen? Like, does it show videos? Does it have to be stills? Like,
Yeah.
what's the massive advantage for me to have that? Um, we'll say in the bedroom, um, and does it have to be over
Mm.
coax?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Look, we come across a lot of situations where there's only coax available in the room.
Mm.
So I mean, the gold standard is have a network cable available to run your TV service, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's delivering the channels or not, because it's going to deliver the connectivity to the TV for the rest of the experience. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that's your top level. We have scenarios, and you see many scenarios in the industry where it's only coax available, and you have two options in that case. So one is you can deliver the TV channels to the telly with the coax cable, and then you can run the TV interface over
Okay.
Wi-Fi and the
Hmm.
casting experience. We'll talk about the casting in the next episode. That's one option. In that case, you would definitely go lighter on the experience on the TV. So you would probably not run, say, video content on that TV interface, right? Because that's going to be more
Okay.
demanding on your Wi-Fi network. Okay.
Okay.
Um, but what we have also done and what we see happening is there is a data over coax solution as well out there on the market. So essentially, you can turn a coax cable into a network cable,
Oh
very much
wow.
like your Ethernet over power solution that you would see in your home. So you can go into an electronics store, you could buy a device that sends data over your power cable in the house and pops it out the other end on a data point, plus Wi-Fi or without Wi-Fi. Very similar concept. So that data over coax solution is available as well.
Mm.
But as always, I would say the gold standard is have network cable available at the back of the TV. Always consider this as part of any refurbishments or renovations taking place, because it's definitely a very worthwhile investment
Yeah.
in your property.
And if you have the network cable, you're not as
Hmm.
reliant on, well, you're not reliant on Wi-Fi because it's feeding through the
Yeah,
network cable.
correct.
Um, but if you're a hotel that has to rely on Wi-Fi to provide any type of solution for the TV, you need to make sure that your Wi-Fi is fit for purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
you just give me a brief kind of summary of what that
yeah,
exactly is?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there's a few things we've covered it probably in more detail in the Wi-Fi episodes up to now.
Yeah.
Um, and I would just say the main thing is that the foundation of all of this is always your wired and Wi-Fi network that you build
Hmm.
day one. So everything layers on top of that. So if you think even about that switch network, that can deliver the IPTV solution to your TV. It can deliver the network connection to the TV for running the user interface and other
Hmm.
services. The Wi-Fi, you would just need to make sure that you deliver a quality signal and also a certain amount of bandwidth to the TV or to the Chromecast device on the back of the TV. And we can talk about that a bit more the next day. But, you just need to deliver a good Wi-Fi connection, a very reliable Wi-Fi connection. There's a bit to that. We've covered that in previous episodes. But it's a really important requirement if you're going to be running TV services or casting services over the Wi-Fi.
Excellent. The TV solution had always, like when somebody would say to me, I have this problem and I have this problem, it sounds more complicated than what it actually is. There's very simple solutions available that are cost effective, easy to deploy. You can keep the existing TV and just sweat the asset. And as time moves on, like as a set breaks down, you upgrade it to a hospitality grade TV. Like it doesn't have to be a massive investment immediately. And as somebody who worked in hotels for many years, like your TV solution pretty much was the TV that sat on the desk or came out from the wall, and whatever the channel, like Sairview or something like that was. While now it's far more sophisticated, and you're reaching, you could have 50 channels on your TV. You could have, as we mentioned earlier, casting. There's so much more out there that can be done, and then bringing all the content onto the actual TV itself from the desk. I think that how that all looks and feels to the guest shows the commitment to the in-room guest experience, and I think that's really important. And it's exciting. And like you mentioned about the network cable being in all of the importance of it being in rooms moving forward, and that it's part of the longer term investment when a hotel is upgrading. Like, we're not going to talk about it today, but it's so important that this investment is made as part of a refurbishment, because it's what else then can come into the room that isn't just to do with the TV solution. I think it's such a super important part of an investment in your property from a long-term sustainability point of view, where you're looking at what technology is coming down the road for the future, and how you're going to enhance your guest experience and how it's going to benefit the operations of the hotel.
Yeah. And I would say that I don't want it to sound like if I'm a hotelier right now, I have to buy a hospitality grade TV. That's my starting point.
Yeah.
We have clients who have regular TVs in the guest rooms, and they have a digital TV head end. They upload their kind of information or their kind of home channel onto that digital head end. So it is branded to some extent. It's limited in the experience, but it's branded. They have a channel lineup, and they have then added casting to that TV as well. They're quite limited in terms of how they can inform the guest of how to get to that. So it's usually through some form of information print off in the room, which is something that many clients are trying to avoid. But there's multiple ways to do it, and it's always about, again, working with the right partner then to figure out, look at your variables in your property, understand your budget, also understand long term where you want to be as a brand, what is your vision going forward, and you can do this in a phased approach. So I think that's really important for people to understand.
Yes.
And it's a really interesting area, I think, because if, as a guest, for me, my home experience when it comes to TV and casting and applications and all of this, right, is really strong. And you can get there, like you can create an experience as good in a hospitality setting, right? And so you depending on your budget, you can do it straight away or you can do it on a phased basis, but it is achievable. And that's the challenge, is if we want 10 out of 10 from our guests, right, the experience has to be on a par with what they have at home, at least,
at the very least.
At the very least. So
Well, look, at the end of the day, like every hotelier will always try and drive rate. Like every investment you're making ultimately is to support your growth in your average daily rate. So the in-room experience is paramount to your guests. You know, like when they walk through the door, they're comparing the experience they have in your hotel to the experience they have at home. And it has to
Absolutely.
at least match it, if not be better.
Yeah. And
You
I think
know?
we've covered before, back to episode 1, I think, why the guests, your online reputation matters. What we have learned through experience is that your guests are giving you feedback about your Wi-Fi, about your
Yeah.
TV, sorry, in your free Wi-Fi score. So your
Mm.
booking.com free Wi-Fi score actually contains feedback about the whole technology experience. They
Mm.
just don't have anywhere else to put it. So we've learned that along the way. For anyone to go back and listen to episode 1, it's a really good one to listen to.
Yeah.
That's TV, Helena. And so, like, what would the top 3 takeaways be from today, you think?
Top 3 from today. For me, I think it's definitely down to the network cable in each room. I think the investment in your actual network cabling in a bedroom
Yeah.
is so important to be part of any future refurbishment plans, because you're setting yourself up to really enhance the guest in-room experience, but also from an operational point of view, what you'll be able to do within that room moving forward with technology is fantastic. How
Yeah,
about you?
beautiful. I will come back to having a really well-designed, actually, Wi-Fi and switch network, because that needs to support the TV experience, right? And
Yeah.
if you get that right, you can deliver a very kind of expansive, holistic experience for the guest
Hmm.
in the room. So I think getting the actual Wi-Fi and switch network right for that is really important. And I think the third one we'd both agree is having a hospitality grade TV
Yeah.
ultimately. As you say, you don't have to go to that investment straight away, but that's where they definitely should be on your roadmap and part of your vision for the future for your hotel.
Absolutely. I think they're super 3 key takeaways.
Very good.
Um, yeah, no, that was brilliant. And I know this is the first in 2 parts, so we will be covering casting in the next one. But I hope today's podcast session has just shone a light on anybody who's looking for a TV solution, whether it be to upgrade your existing system or to do a uh, full upgrade where you're looking at TV channels, content, etc. I just hope you've gained some insight and enjoyed the podcast. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Denis.
super. Thanks, Lena. Really enjoyed it, and talk to you next week.